Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. I just thought about how the mothers of Gaza are these potent examples for us, because their levels of patience are astronomical, and the fear they must feel is probably very intense, most likely. Yet they have to keep going on. They have to be able to comfort their children as death surrounds them. And a lot of people can feel that motherhood is just too difficult for them. They may not think they can rise to the occasion of the stress that is placed upon them. They like their sort of free spiritedness. Let's put it that way. And they don't want to compromise that in a way that brings more suffering into their life. Yet I would argue that if you look at the women of Palestine, they are heroes because of how they have championed patience. All these Muslim moms down there who are pregnant, have children by their side, not knowing if they'll make it or not, and seeing the Zios strike ambulances and American Christians cheering for it and ex-Muslims cheering for it is something that probably fills those women with deep anguish. And then knowing that the water, the electricity, and by extension the Wi-Fi was cut off, and that the only ones who are speaking out for them are getting heavily self-censored on Instagram and YouTube, and that this is reducing the collective consciousness of their oppression. And what I mean by that is, these moms in Gaza know that the voices that are calling to help them are being censored, and that must be very heavy on their souls. Because when you are facing death all around you, you have this hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you have also hope in your fellow citizens, your fellow humans, and you think the cavalry is coming. But if you know in your mind that there are active, wealthy groups who are banning and silencing, threatening and coercing, and stalking people who speak out on your behalf, that can make you almost lose hope. Yet these moms, they have to know deep down inside them, I'm sure, that they have to rein in despair and really just rise to the occasion. Anyone who contends that women are these just bimbo-headed, weak, half-retarded creatures, you really got to take a step back and look at the women of Palestine and how they are just brave and pillars as death breathes down their neck. It's astounding. Even for the elderly women who are grandmas, worrying about their grandchildren, worried about if they'll be able to see, the next year. Their bad knees and back, they don't have their medications. They should be relaxing in peace, and they're trying to get out of a death trap. A corralled death trap. It's quite sad. It's really quite sad and nihilistic in a way. Yet, as a Muslim woman here in America, I think we all, especially American Muslim women, should look to the Palestinian women and see how they're still having children, even though they're living in these horrid conditions. And if we have better conditions, we have our own problems, but we have more access to water, electricity, and basic amenities, we should be having more children and putting more focus and love on our children, and having strength to keep going through life's hardships. Because the Palestinian women are doing it, And they're showing us how it's done. And we can honor them by imitating their patience. Really think about that. We can honor these women and their memories and their sacrifice and their trials by later, if we can, talking to these women. How did you feel during these rocket blasts? Archiving the information, and Muslims getting into these social media companies and working for them so that we have people on the inside who will help Muslims not get banned for defending Palestine. Because even when, like for example, me on Instagram, they'll constantly say I'm spamming when I've made like 5 comments that day on something. So it's like a soft form of censorship, and then they'll lock me out for like 24 hours. And I usually don't talk about it because I'm like, yeah, it's Instagram playing games. But even for other comments where I don't swear and I'm just responding to someone who's tagged me, Instagram will call it spam and take it off. So it's like a form of like signaling to you to shut up. And like, for example, I'll do like pro-Palestine stuff and just attacking liberalism and feminism and occultism on my channel. And you'll see that like YouTube has throttled my channel for a long time. I mean, to have almost 40,000 subscribers and I have a video that gets 50 views, you have to really think like, what's going on here? The shenanigans. Like, that's straight up like what. And a lot of content creators that are bigger channels, they'll like play both sides, they'll grift, but then when they actually start to pick a side and if it goes against the establishment, they'll notice some funny things start to happen. And then they get panicked and they start to realize, oh, we got to create channels on BitChute and Rumble because they see the censorship is real. And so if people are trying to escape the 9-to-5 life and they're trying to do their activism or spread knowledge in a unique way through social media, when they see the Zios flexing their muscle by deplatforming, shadow banning, and censoring people, this can make many not want to speak out. Okay? And the Palestinian people, I'm sure, have been told that that's what their oppressors are doing so that no aid can come to them, can really shake their faith, yet they remain steadfast. And that is something that I really appreciate in terms of the Palestinian women's strength and those who keep on creating content even though they get punished for it. They don't sell out and they don't just grift. They don't just parrot things that the mob wants to hear. They actually stay authentic even if they're punished for it. And as time goes on, I think the more we look at how the children suffer, the little girls and the little boys, and how wives lost their husbands, lost their children, like how they will tell their stories will last for generations. It's remarkable. So whenever you're really struggling, you feel like you can't go on, remember the Palestinian women, their patience. Remember them. They're a strong example today of what's possible when you have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are able to wrestle with fear and grapple with despair and come out triumphant. I think we see the strength of the female soul most evidently when we look at the Palestinian women and the struggle of those moms. They're still having children under all that misery. So what is our excuse today for not wanting to have children? We all have our own trials, like I said, and each person has their own unique disposition on how much pressure they can handle. But it is remarkable, though, that these women are giving birth and death surrounds them. They're breastfeeding, death surrounds them. They're not getting any sleep, trying to take care of a newborn, and death surrounds them. Crying. Rubble. People fleeing. Imagine. Those strong women of Palestine are giving birth around death. Children born amongst death and dust and destruction. To know, those children will know they were born during a genocide. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them and allowed them to survive. That's amazing. They will know that their life has purpose. They will know that they are special. Think about Moses, how Pharaoh sent out his soldiers to kill some of the babes, right? And Moses was saved, put into a little basket, right? Pharaoh was oppressing the people, but Moses survived. And he ended up taking down that dynasty by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The patience of Musa's mom, the fear she must have felt of all those mothers. There's a Christian tradition that contends that some babies were thrown into the Nile and fed to crocodiles. And if you think about that, what that must have been like for moms to see that. I mean, the cries of Egypt must have shattered the sky. And at Gaza, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are working overtime to erase the despair. And yet, our eyes get to bear witness, and through that struggle, we can become stronger by allowing their pain to wash over us and motivate us to stay strong, to not give in. It's just amazing to think that pregnant women are surviving, grandmas are surviving, mothers having to carry their little ones. The fortitude of the female spirit is amazing. How a mother's heart can be stretched so thin in a time of death. Just think about hearing other people's wails at night. The sniffling, the cries, feeling the cold ooze in, not knowing if you're safe, trying to cuddle with your little baby as rockets drop around you, and your innocent baby's chubby cheeks staring up at you, and you know that an airstrike can come at any time and wipe you out. That the whole world is engulfed in that moment in dust, death, despair, ambulances all around. And there you are trying to hold the fort down for your children. Breastfeeding one, another baby's holding the stuffy, and you must endure and cling to Allah, the rope of faith, biting it with your molars, not giving in to the whispers of shaitan. Really astounding, their bravery, their fortitude. The Palestinian women are icons to us all. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.